Before we dive into our first keynote address, we are excited to bring an extraordinary performance at the end of our live day programming this year in our grand finale event. Stay tuned as we round out our day with an incredible showcase of some of our most unforgettable moments from performances produced by IIL Media. Extraordinary Performances Retrospect isn't just a montage, it's a collection from our online conferences worldwide, packed with entertainment that serves as a showcase for artists who dared to leap beyond the ordinary. You truly won't want to miss this spectacular event. Now, let's get started. Our first session of the day is a keynote panel on the future of Agile, embracing artificial intelligence. Join IIL's Dr. Leon Herzon as he chats with Kumaresh Krishnamurthy, Max Longosko, and Dr. Waislin Mathuram, and explore the integration of AI within Agile methodologies, highlighting transformative approaches and the balance between innovation and ethical considerations. Be sure to stick around after the session for a live Q&A with our expert panelists.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Agile Conference. I'm Leon Herzon, head of IIL Consulting, and I had the pleasure to have this fantastic panel here. We are going to discuss the future of Agile embracing artificial intelligence. We're going to have Dr. Waislin Mathuram, Max Longosko, and Kumaresh Krishnamurthy. So thank you again, each of you. And we are going to jump right into the first question. Very excited panel. So here we go. And for this question, I would like each of you to answer as well. We're going to start with you, Max. So how did each of you use AI to help customers doing Agile initiatives?
Hey, Leon, great to be here. Well, there are many ways, of course, in which AI helps, and we've helped customers. But probably the most common one is honestly simply to make them become aware of the options that they have. And one of those options that I've noticed is really very successful is helping them do role plays, right? Really the type that you are XYZ persona, you're a product owner, you're a scrum master, whatever, and you're rolling out certain points, certain stories, and you roll them out one at a time, and the AI can just ask you questions, interrupt you if it has problems with them. So rolling out this is really very, very powerful, and it ends up creating a kind of scenario simulation. In fact, with one of my customers, we ended up having fun and calling it power poker, right? It's a kind of planning poker, but empowered by this AI that challenges you at every step. That's one simple way in which, one of the many in which we've been helping using AI.
Very nice. Kumaresh.
Yes, so AI has been amazing. Honestly, it has got a lot of opportunities. And we have tried to include AI with some of the clients in Canada and US. But most importantly, currently I'm in Dubai. So we are exploring opportunities to apply AI in UAE and Dubai. One of the key things we try to do, and we are continuing doing, is the reporting part, right? The predictive analytics, having more insights on the data that is required for the management to make, for the leaders to make more informed decisions. And it has helped, understanding the patterns, understanding the trends, that is helping the business, the leaders make better decisions.
Thank you. What about you, Waislin?
Yes, so the journey with AI has been phenomenal for me. For the last 15 years, data was always there. So initially with customers, when we work, it was all about. It started with reports. Then we saw reports was useful, but and then slowly it got built into dashboards. Then it started getting into executive dashboards and a little bit more deeper insights. And then what we quickly realized was we were pushing information on people, and now we are doing a pull-based mechanism for everybody, for every persona. And now that is slowly becoming intelligence, and ChatGPT just made it visible, but it was always there. And now is a chance we are just accelerating is the journey that I would say. People say data is the new oil. It's not true. Data has always been the oil. Now we are just using it more effectively, I guess, as it applies to AI.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, let's go to the second question. How do you envision uh, artificial intelligence transforming traditional agile methodologies in the coming years? So that's not an easy question, because I'm asking you to get a crystal ball and read from that crystal ball. So how do you see AI transforming? I'm going to start with you, Wiselin, and then Max, if you can follow on that.
Absolutely. So I always start with the question, what's the why behind it, right? Why are we even trying to do this? Are we doing AI just because it's cool and everybody's talking about AI and every manager has to have something in their roadmap which talks about AI? Is that the reason we are doing it? What is the problem we are trying to solve? And the biggest problems that I see in the industry right now in the agile world, number one is connecting strategy to execution. Every leader I go, that is the biggest problem I see in many organizations. Agile start as a IT led initiative and then they're trying to connect strategy and execution together. For example, are we able to associate all our work to OKRs, the KPIs? Are we able to do a very good intake mechanism, prioritize it holistically, dynamically? Are we able to see that in many companies roadmap is just a PowerPoint slide before a meeting what they drag and drop? These are all some of the biggest two problems. Capacity demand management, as I said, these are big time problems in the industry, and I personally believe that these things are the problems to be solved and which people have been struggling in the industry. And for all our clients, now it is predicting and it's also saying that, hey, you are accurate as much as X%, 96%, 97%, and it's constantly learning. And I think the biggest problems to solve is implementing portfolios, implementing maturity in value streams, connecting that to the OKR KPI for an end-to-end flow. I think this is where it's going to be pretty exciting opportunities for AI.
Actually, I agree very much with Waislin. His point on value is really very important. And I think that that is also one of those elements that are going to change agile methodologies, in the sense that what I see is that AI is going to broaden and help adapt the toolbox that project managers have and start to coalesce based on value delivery categories what type of hybrid approaches we're going to be creating. And by hybrid, I don't just mean agile predictive, really also within agile, what type of scope is Scrum most valuable for versus Kanban versus Kinevin versus whatever other approaches. I think that AI is really going to empower us in developing our toolbox and creating these hybrid approaches, which are more value driven than book driven or tradition driven, right? Just integrating what Waislin was already saying.
Excellent, excellent. So next question starts again with you, Wiselin, and then let's get your input as well, Kumaresh. What are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities when integrating AI into agile project management? Not only challenges, but also opportunities.
Absolutely. So, with the opportunities, I think personally at this point, what we are building, the products that our organization is building, pretty much whatever that team member or a human can do is automated, pretty much. Now, having said that, to make it work, AI is the easy part. The bigger part is data acquisition. Every company is using data differently. For example, in many companies, they may do a project based mindset as opposed to a product based mindset. Some companies, when we go there, the tool is only as good as the data. The data is only as good as people punching in the data in the tool. So, no data in the tool, then no insights, no analytics, right? So people using the tool with discipline is kind of key. So when we go to every organization, when we are trying to do something called data acquisition, we just don't just alone anymore look at a Jira tool or a Azure DevOps or wherever the pieces. We have to connect collaboration platforms like Microsoft Teams or Slack and we are the data sources is different in every company. So if somebody is hiring us, the first thing that we do is data acquisition. So we initially in our roadmap do some quick wins for companies. When we do the quick wins, at the same time we are learning the system, understanding the data source. Data acquisition happens from the various pieces, and then slowly when we have the data, now we can do anything we want. And we can predict anything we want. And some of the opportunities, which we'll talk more deeper in this particular discussion, is say at a team level, sprint planning, iteration planning, or story point prediction, or writing acceptance criteria, elaborating test cases. Like, it's just humongous, right? It's just anything for that matter. We have automated. Or if you go to the portfolio level, as I said, I already talked about everything in the portfolio. It's about value stream funding. It's about writing strategic themes, looking at the marketplace as competitors, anything, or anything that we market study, market sensing. The opportunities are just plenty, but the challenge that we go is twofold in every company when we go. Number one is data acquisition. Number two is data governance, responsible AI. That is the top two biggest problems. Or is the data, people's data safe? We make, are we sensitive to their personal conversations? Is the data, there are laws and regulations in each country, GDPR or other equivalent laws. Are we abiding and keeping the data safe? And is the model trustable, explainable? Responsible AI and data acquisition, I personally believe, are the two biggest challenges.
Yeah, I fully agree with Waislin. In fact, I think the opportunities, as Waislin mentioned, I'll just add to those things, right? So one of the key benefits of AI, I feel, is automating the routine tasks, right? So AI can automate repetitive, time-consuming tasks in project management, such as data entry, right? That is the biggest issue, and the quality of data as well. So data entry, documentation, reporting, scheduling, all these things can be automated through AI. And this frees up project managers and team members to focus on more strategic, value added activities. And that will make a big difference. The second point about opportunities is predictive analytics and insights. As I mentioned about that as well previously. We tried this with some of the reporting tasks through AI and it was successful. So AI powered analytics can provide valuable insights and predictions about project performance, about risks, about outcomes. So this will be using the historical data, analyzing the historical data and real-time metrics. AI algorithms can identify patterns, it can identify trends, anomalies, right, to support data-driven decision making and risk management, and that is going to be very, very useful. The third benefit I feel is resource optimization and planning as well. So AI algorithms can optimize resource allocation, right? One of the points that Max mentioned earlier was about, we don't want to push agile to teams, right? Some of the teams, they are just doing Scrum for the sake of doing. But is Scrum right for them? Is Kanban right for them? Or should it be a hybrid model? This kind of an understanding, this kind of a understanding of their way of working, this is what we call it the wow factor, right? The way of working factor plays a vital role in making informed decisions on what is the right way for them to apply agility, right? So the style, what they use, and the resources that they need, this will be used from the AI models as well. So analyzing resource utilization, analyzing the workload distribution, the power dependencies, the project dependencies, all these things is going to be critical. So AI can help optimize project plans and the timelines to improve efficiency and productivity. That is the key. Coming to the challenges, right? So I think the key challenges is data. Now, data quality and availability, as Waislin also mentioned. So AI algorithms requires large amounts of high quality data. And that is required for training and validation, right? So that is why every company is different, their way of working is different, their data is different. So we need high quality and of large data. Now, ensuring the availability and quality of relevant data can be a significant challenge. So particularly in domains with limited or fragmented data sources, right? The second challenge I feel is integrating with the existing process. We need to when I go to companies, right, with the agile mindset, the first challenge I have is changing their mindset. So that is the first hurdle. Now AI is going to intensify that challenge, right? So important is they have an existing process, they depend on that. Are they ready to understand the benefits of AI? So integrating AI into the agile project management workflows requires careful planning, coordination, with existing processes and tools and people as well, right? We need to respect people and their current way of working. So ensuring all these things is critical. So seamless integration and interoperability with existing project management systems, the tools, the people, the methodologies is critical. And the last challenge, as Waislin also mentioned, just to add to that, is ethical and regular considerations, right? So I think this is a good opportunity as well as the challenges that we need to be aware of.
Thank you. So, Waislin, Kumaresh, you mentioned challenges, you mentioned opportunities, and I want to, on the next question, ask you about the specific opportunity. If AI, and that one goes for Max, and then end that with you, Waislin. So, can AI tools enhance the decision-making process? And if they can, how?
Right, absolutely. Well, Kumaresh was already touching on a few of these topics, right? But if we step out a second, how is decision making happening now? Right, in most approaches that we take in management in general, let alone project management or agile, what we rely on is historical data, right? And we do our best to build some kind of simulation out of it. And then on the personal experience of the decision maker. In agile teams, we strengthen very much the idea of the decision making based on this self-organizing team, which evolves into a whole, into something that is able to take decisions knowing its potential as a whole, right? All of this can be very strongly strengthened by AI and backed up by AI. Right? First of all, from a learning perspective, right? We're talking about constant growing and constant innovation. We're talking about both at the individual level and at the team level, going through stages and growing from a learning perspective, continuously improving our ability to decide, our ability to understand the customer's needs, our ability to understand the supplier's potentials. So all this can be certainly potentiated by AI in the way in which AI helps us, also from improving our pedagogical systems on learning, on understanding the context in which we are. And then coming back to the points that Kumaresh was making earlier, right? Real-time decision making. Of course, the AI can offer real-time suggestions, right? To make decisions in a context in which past data is absorbed, adapted, understood, in order to then help us in deciding how to proceed. This can be true relative to what is the priorities for our customer. It can be true relative on what are the story pointing for our next story. It can be true on what is the ranking, what is the priority ranking of the work that we're doing. So in many different ways, AI can support us from bringing in historical data. And finally, also from a risk management perspective, by analyzing what has happened to this project and to other projects in the past, AI can, of course, help us understand and identify potential risks that may emerge and what mitigation strategies may be useful. These mitigation strategies, which, by the way, in Agile very often are not analyzed separately, instead can simply become a new input into the product backlog and get ranked again as priorities within the product backlog. So essentially, we can create a context in which the human interaction, the team interaction, gets potentiated not only from the point of view of, oh, guess what, here, this is the best decision and take it or leave it, believe me, but it can create a collaborative effort between human and AI in order for also the human to continuously improve and to become better and better in decision making and in identifying the most the most relevant and priority decisions, right? So absolutely, AI can enhance decision making, can enhance the tools that we have for decision making. Right?
Thank you. I think it's absolutely very well summarized, Max. Basically, just to say, less is more in strategy. So for decision making, it is very critical to be real time. Absolutely. Let me give a small example. Right, one of the biggest problems which leaders go through, or anybody at the team level also go through, is just for the basic definition of agile, or be flexible and adaptable. So the point is, people are working on something. Suddenly the leaders get a very important piece to come through, and the standard piece is everybody is busy. Now the point is, measure what matters. The decision should be very clear that, okay, something new has come up, what is in people's plate, what can be traded off, it was summarized before as options, and giving the leaders the necessary insights to say the trade-off decisions, to say, hey, this is what, because it's a iron triangle, right? Capacity teams are long-lived, stable teams. Ideally, the time boxes are pretty fixed in a year. There are 8 hours in a day and 365 days in a year. And if you take away the holidays, the working hours, you know what it is. So the only variable is scope. So scope is in play, and to give the leaders decisions on making critical decisions. That way, somebody is not getting burnt out. We are given clear options to maximize the economics, and that's where I think it is very beautiful concepts. Basically, we're just taking the fundamental beliefs and principles of agile, and now putting decisions in fingertips of leaders with options. It's just very exciting. Every day when I wake up, the use cases is just getting exciting. So I'm very excited about it.
Thank you. Thank you. So we talk about that aspect of decision making. Let's drill down to some of the practical applications as well, related to sprint planning in retrospective meetings, right? How AI can affect that. So I'm going to start again with you, Max, and I'm going to repeat the same thing. And Wiseline, if you want to continue on that as well. So the question is, in what ways can AI contribute to be more effective on sprint planning in retrospective meetings?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a very specific question, Leon, right? However, coming back really to what we were saying, essentially, AI can empower the teams in making quicker, more accurate, right? And especially the right decisions, right? So it's not just a question of analyzing data and now I have a magical result, but it's really, am I focusing on the right things? And AI can definitely help us a lot in that, right? So in task estimation, for example, which task do we need to estimate? How do we estimate it? What have past estimation given us? What are past error margins? What tasks do we need to prioritize when? Capacity planning is another one, right? Weislin hinted at it earlier. Capacity planning, again, is the type of task in which AI can analyze historical data, past sprints, give us a slightly more accurate estimations in order to help us with capacity planning. So this is definitely probably the very first, the low-hanging fruit that we can go for from sprint planning perspective. Historical performance analysis. What have past story point estimates given us? What were the error margins? Are we in line? And bringing that forward, of course, to a predictive estimation of story points, giving us support for understanding what the future can bring for the full release, not just the iterations. So in this sense, velocity forecasting, for example, given historical data and bringing it in to understand what can happen. But there's one point that I'd like to underline here. It's not just a question of data. It's not just a question of AI supporting us to use the past to predict the future. AI can also help us to look forward and see what divergences may exist towards the past. Where is it that the future is not forecastable using the past? Where is it that past data is actually not going to deliver the best results, right? And um, and and um, and AI can do this by taking in consideration a more complex context than simply the historical databases of historical data, but taking in consideration the enterprise environmental factors around our ways of working. What are the social implications of what we're doing? What is the context within which we are releasing our results? What are the customers' priorities and the customers' impact on decision making, and what business may be putting pressure on our customer, and in what way is that going to impact our priorities? So essentially, AI can help us create much more complex predictive structures than traditional data analysis, right? So forecasting velocity in a much more complex and articulated manner than simply using the data to forecast the same old, right? Balancing workloads across teams, of course, that's another aspect that can be very useful in sprint planning, right? Um, earlier, earlier I was mentioning about power poker, if you remember, right? And I tell you, we've had a lot of fun with that, where essentially you're using traditional planning poker approaches, which is already fun in and of itself, but then you use the AI to help you question your assumptions, right? Once you've identified the outliers and you're identifying cracks in the assumptions that you're making, the AI can help you challenge those and actually dig deeper into having a deeper understanding of what your contexts are. And this is, of course, very useful also post sprint when we're talking about retrospectives, right? One thing is what we thought was going to happen at the beginning, but then you can go back and role play with your AI and say, okay, during the sprint, what happened? We had this surprise that came up. The customer arrived with this new stakeholder. The business arrived with a new need. And all of a sudden, what could have we done better? Or how should I reply to this new customer's need, right? So what can we change in our next iterations in order to improve? So definitely AI challenging the ways of working can create a lot of input. What is important is always that the AI is used to challenge the human mind and not to simply take it over and take decisions in place of the human mind, right? Wiseland, do you have? I'm sure you have thoughts on this because this is close to your experience.
Oh, that's thank you for that great insight, Max. And I think to add on to what you said, I think I'm going to give a few examples, if you may. That way, we can see some of the real opportunities at the team level. So now I have been implementing this AI in multiple companies, and let's say I go to the CEO or a CTO or a SVP or a VP or a director or a manager. The first thing that they say is, Weisland, all this AI is good. Can you first eliminate all the Excels in my company first? And that gives me a great opportunity to learn that domain. And I love Excel. God bless Excel. But having said that, digitalized conversations are a must for prediction. So that's number one, right? Number two, I see that the biggest piece, again, with team by team, when I talk to them, what is your biggest problem? People say, in the spirit of agility, people push meetings on us. Death by Meetings is the name of a book. And and it's very critical that we optimize the time of people. That way, we basically increase the time and zone of all the personas in our organization. It may be a product owner, it may be a developer, it can be a tester, it can be a scrum master, it can be a business owner, doesn't matter. So make sure that we provide maximum value, and all the AI stuff that we do really helps that. The third thing is personalized co-pilots really make sure that people all do their job. For example, in many cases, let's give an example of a company where if it's a product owner, then a persona, then the product owner persona makes sure that all the things that they have to do to create a story, maybe write acceptance criteria, the definition of ready, of the policy, and everything is taken care. Because if intake is going to be bad, obviously execution is going to be bad. So if every persona is having a co-pilot which enhances their job to do stuff, and again, we all talk about predictive insights. Now it's just like a soccer match, right? Even before the match starts, it says that team A has a 95% chance of winning. It is predicting, and it is slowly adjusting it as the match progresses, and that's what happens during the execution of an iteration or so. We can predict and adjust, things move on, which is pretty cool. Now, the last piece also that I would like to add, as another example, is people lose their faith in retrospectives, because Weston, you come to me, ask for these retrospectives all the time. What are you doing with it? If the retrospectives are not getting prioritized, making its way into the backlog and just being done, it is no longer inspect and adapt. It's inspect and forget. So the opportunities at the team level to use AI to make sure that if 15 people are giving retrospective items, what is the topics? Can we summarize it? These are very, very quick wins that we can do to make sure that every persona is happy and people focus on what is more important, which is building products, and eliminate all the muda in the processes.
All right. That by me is an inspect and forget. We are not going to forget that one, Wiseline. And actually, you mentioned earlier during the chat about data protection governance. And the next question, I would like to hear from Max and Kumaresh. The next question is, what challenges do you see related to the responsible use of AI? So we're talking about data protection, governance, ethics, and security. Let's start with you, Max, and then Kumaresh.
Wow, Leon, quite a hefty question there, but a very important one, absolutely. The list of topics in which we see AI and where we see that there is a need for a responsible use from AI is very, very long. The first one that would come to mind, of course, is accountability. Right? If I take a decision based on an analysis that AI has done, who's accountable for it? Who's responsible for the decision making? Is it the AI? Is it the person making the decision? Is it the institution behind it? Is it who trained the AI? Who's accountable for it? It is not absolutely clear, and is not absolutely clear in every occasion. So accountability I see as a big challenge coming forward, and it will be something that as trouble occurs, as problems will materialize, it will become a more and more real issue. Another very important topic, of course, is interpretability of what the AI is actually doing. Transparency over how does the AI actually reach to certain conclusions. Sometimes the AI is a bit of a black box, right? It might be difficult to understand what's working well, what isn't, what needs adjustment, because we don't know how the decisions are actually being taken. So enhancing interpretability of what is actually happening in the AI will be a very big topic in the years to come. Another important aspect, Leon, is certainly the complexity of the models. I mean, these models are growing and growing, and there's often not much that we can follow through step by step. So if an AI model analyzes a huge amount of data and then reaches a specific conclusion and then finally gives me a recommendation, well, how do I know if that's the right one or the wrong one? And therefore, we get used to the fact that we just take whatever the AI tells us and we implement it. So over-reliance on AI for decision making is a risk out there, right? We need to be conscious about this fact, and we need to consciously force ourselves to not end up becoming over reliant on these models, right? Another risk that I see potentially impacting our teams, and this is especially true in decentralized agile teams, right, working in different locations, is that we use more and more AI for automatized communications. And therefore, we end up with a loss of team dynamics. That is something that could happen in the future, right? Where teams are less and less used to collaborating directly together and more reliant on AI for the communication. So again, this is another risk that I see. So as you can see, Leon, it becomes really important that we learn to maintain a balance, right, between AI-driven decisions and insights and human judgment. This comes back to what I was talking about earlier, right? That we ensure transparency in how our AI tools operate, even if we don't understand the actual mechanism of the neural network, but that at least we understand how the tool that's adopting the AI works. Right? That we continuously monitor the implementation of AI in our decision making and observe the real outcomes, the real feedback that we're receiving, and therefore use real results from our work and in order to feed back into the way in which the AI is working. That way, if there's a trend of making a mistake, we can kind of fix it. We can correct it by not developing in that direction, but feeding back the outcomes that have materialized and correcting them, right? Investing in data security is clearly something that will be very important in the future, Leon. So making sure that we have all sorts of mitigation strategies that reduce the likelihood of decision making to make big mistakes, right? In terms of the various biases that we are all very aware of. Right? So I see that there are a lot of risks that are possible, but there's a lot that we can do in order to mitigate them, right? Another thing that we can do in order to mitigate them, of course, is train our teams on what to expect from the AI rather than just using it as a magic box that tells me what to do. Kumaresh, anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. You said it all, Max. Thank you. In fact, I would add to what you just mentioned, which was very critical. You mentioned about transparency. And I think it's critical because how do we know AI is, whatever results AI is given, how do you know how it is calculating those, right? So how is AI giving you the results? What kind of behind the scenes calculation is happening? A lot of people don't even know. People who are actually understanding those algorithms may not be able to understand the complexity of the neural language, right? The neural network. So it's very important to have that transparency. I think that is a big challenge because that brings us to the next topic, which is trust. Can you really trust what AI gives you, right? Are the results accurate? Can you blindly go with what AI is given you? And that is why I always believe AI should augment human intelligence, not replace it. So a lot of people, as Max mentioned, right, they should not think it as a magic box, saying that, oh, you gave me the answers, that's it, I just go with it blindly. That should not happen. We need to first start trusting the results of AI. And that can happen only through explained AI, right? So I think transparency and explainability is a very important part, and that is going to be the challenge in the coming years. So many AI algorithms, especially complex deep learning models, right? They are making it difficult to understand how they arrive at these decisions and predictions. So ensuring transparency and explainability in AI is essential for building trust. Accountability is an important part that Max, you mentioned. That is going to bring accountability. That's going to get regulatory compliance as well. So challenges include developing, say, interpretable AI models, providing explanation for so algorithmic decisions, and enabling stakeholders to understand and audit AI systems effectively. So this is going to be the next part, auditing AI systems. And that is going to be a big job opportunity in the future, I feel. So now we also come to another important part about bias, right? So the training data, is the training data having biased opinions? So algorithm bias and fairness is an important aspect because AI algorithms can inadvertently perpetuate what do you call it, biases present in the training data. So what kind of training data is provided? Based on that, what kind of decisions is being made? So leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes is possible, right? So ensuring algorithmic fairness and mitigating bias requires careful selection and pre-processing of training data. So it's also like ongoing monitoring, right? This is where AI audits is going to be there. So ongoing monitoring, evaluating of algorithmic outputs for fairness, transparency of documentation of the decision-making processes is a critical aspect. The third is, of course, data privacy and protection. Both Wisden and Max have been talking about these things, right? So AI systems often rely on vast amounts of data, including personal sensitive information. So ensuring compliance with data protection regulations such as GDPR, CCPA, all these things, and safeguarding individuals' privacy rights is crucial because the privacy rights in, say, North America is different than the privacy rights in the UAE, right? So understanding that AI cannot just be blindly applied everywhere, understanding what kind of privacy policies are there and making sure it works well, keeping those constraints in mind. And challenges include obtaining informed consent for data collection and processing. All these are critical for re-identifying the data, right? So implementing of robust data security measures to prevent unauthorized access or breaches is critical. So I think these are the critical aspects and challenges that we need to be aware of. Thank you.
Great points indeed. And a lot of our viewers here are Scrum Masters, product owners, team members. So the next question, I think it's very relevant for them as well. Could the introduction of AI to agile frameworks potentially lead to changes to existing roles? As I mentioned, Scrum Masters, product owners, and how can we mitigate this? So I would like to hear from you, Wiseman, first, and then Max, maybe you can close us on that question.
I thank you so much for this question. I'm glad you are asking it. This is the number one question wherever I go. I talk in any summit, anywhere. People come to me, and when I do a hands-on demo of, for example, starting from strategy to end, and I see how, for example, iteration planning is done and predicted as less as 30 seconds or so, and then when people look into it and they work on it, it's maybe they take another 2 hours to clean it up. People first question is, Wiseland, is my job safe? Number one, it's the number one question in people's mind, and they ask me. So I want to tell a small story. My dad is an economist, and when I was growing up, he told me a story. Maybe when I was in my seventh grade, I remember. So when he was young, in industries and factories, people used to have a lot of human labor where they were making products. Then when the machines were invented, industrial revolution took over. Most of people's jobs of repetitive stuff or anything else were slowly getting optimized. So people used to go on strikes. People used to, see, because they were losing jobs. It was impacting people's life. So now, similar thing is happening to white collar jobs, and we have to be very clear with this message. And it's very important. The humanity, the cool thing with this whole situation is humanity always prevails. If anything God has invented, which is the most beautiful thing, it's human brains. So, what should not happen is the following, in my experience. Number one, I have been crying out to the leaders to say to upskill people, to make sure that if I'm a Scrum Master, for example, I should have all the things that a Scrum Master should do to to make their job better, whatever that they need to make strategical decisions and stuff. So this is co-pilots for everything. So to be so the developing T-shaped skills is kind of important piece. And would we can we do more with less? The answer is yes. Now sometimes when I talk to leaders, it's also very critical and important that sometimes leaders, if you or team members or anybody listening to this, if a cat closes its eyes, the world doesn't become dark. Technology is just going to become faster and faster every day. So the best bet is to embrace it. And humanity and the brain are best things what God has given us, and just embrace it. Don't resist it, right? Just embrace it. There's a lot of value required in the next 5 years or 10 years, and anybody who can embrace it is very important. You all know the story of how a buffalo runs towards the rain and all that story. So my point is, embrace it. It's very critical, and every persona, doesn't matter, a scrum master, product owner, or a business analyst, and they are all getting jobs are going to be a little bit optimized for sure. That is my piece. But we have to be very careful. And I I read the bill what the Congress passed in a bipartisan way. You all know that earlier this year Congress passed, because you cannot too much restrict it than our competitors. So neither can you, so there was one line in the bill which was very critical, which really meant a lot. In one of the lines in the bill, it said that all this AI is great, but if humanity versus AI comes, priority should always be given to humanity per se. And that line speaks words in terms of what AI can do. My appeal to folks is to embrace it, learn it, get ahead of the curve, and not resist it. And I think God will bless us all as such.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Waislin. That's it's a very wise words, very wise take of the issue. While you were talking, I was thinking about the examples that I have noticed, right, in my experience, and how they relate with this rather optimistic take that you have, I would say, right, in the trust in the abilities and in the capabilities of humanity, right? And so I was thinking, the three key roles that we have in agile projects, right? The product owner, the agile coach or scrum master, and then of course the development team. How could they take advantage of this potential that you have very correctly and very wisely pointed out? So, for example, the product owner could evolve into a more strategic role, into someone who's more focused on the long-term product vision, right, rather than day-to-day backlog management. So that could be a positive future, I think, for product owners, where the usage of AI tools can help them to focus on the more strategic aspects rather than on the more day-to-day aspects. I'm part of the agile coach or of the scrum master. How could they evolve? And I was wondering if through the usage of AI tools, of course, the teams will struggle to adopt AI tools and at the same time maintain the agile values, right? So the scrum master could evolve into a kind of change management leader, right, where the scrum master focuses on making sure that the integration of AI tools into the ways of working of the teams aligns with agile values, right, and then facilitates team adaptation towards these tools. And then finally, the development team itself hopefully can also take advantage of these, right? And therefore may take on more and more complex tasks, more and more creative tasks, if the routine coding and testing tasks are increasingly automated by AI, right? So this I think means, of course, that more and more oversight and more training of the AI systems is necessary. but they could actually help the different roles in Agile actually to evolve, actually to take advantage of this and become more human rather than less human. I hope you agree, Weislin.
Thank you. So next question, also related to the teams, right? And I think it might be a question that our teams are asking, our Agile teams are asking. So I'm going to ask you, Kumaresh, to start us with this, and then Wiseman, if you can close. So the question is, what are the key skills Agile team members should develop to work effectively with AI technology?
Yes, that's a very, very important question right here. The key is in today's world, as Max and Wiseman just mentioned previously, people are afraid. How is AI going to impact their lives, right? Especially in the current roles and responsibilities that people are already having. They are a bit skeptical. Whenever I speak about AI in Agile, there is the first question they ask me back, saying that, okay, what do I need to do? So I think the journey to developing AI solutions starts with people, right? We don't want to replace people, of course. They need to be enhanced through AI to make better decisions. That is the goal. That is the objective. So existing agile teams must integrate specialized roles, such as, I'm sure in the future there will be AI specialists, there will be data scientists, there will be machine learning engineers. All these could be part of their journey, their group itself. In fact, many companies, right, have got these specialist roles, especially in research and development. Right. So upskilling current development team is critical. Wiseman mentioned about upskilling, and I think that is what it is: embracing uh, the change which is coming, which is AI, and embracing with open arms, saying that, oh, this is an opportunity for me to learn something better, something new. Upskilling myself is critical. So every team member should be in that state of mind to upskill themselves and be ahead of the curve, as Wiseman mentioned as well. So by creating a baseline of AI knowledge across all teams combined, right? The baseline is very important. The same way Agile, came into existence, and every company pretty much is using Agile, right? So it is like has spread like wildfire. Every company understands that there has to be a baseline. Everyone speaks the same language. Everyone understands their roles and responsibilities and an Agile way of working, and that change has taken into a good effect. And similar thing needs to happen with AI as well. So we need to create a baseline of AI knowledge across all teams combined with AI focused roles, right? Or teams within the organization can ensure effective AI integration into existing solutions, right? So there are solutions. How can AI help them deliver it? So fostering an environment where AI and traditional software development synergize to drive innovation. So understanding of AI concepts and techniques is critical. So agile team members should have a basic understanding of all these things, right? It can start with a common centralized AI division, but eventually the AI uh, members will be in every team themselves, right? Either there will be an additional team member who is skilled in an AI way of doing things, or the existing team members will upskill themselves to work in the AI way. So starting from a centralized AI division to being an AI resource, being in every team is going to be the future for sure. So that's what needs to happen. So every team member needs to understand the basics, understands their roles and responsibilities, and how AI is going to help them towards a better way of working. So that is one thing. The second part is data literacy and analysis. So how to get good data, high quality data. So data literacy is essential for agile team members to understand and analyze data effectively. They should be able to interpret data visualizations. They need to be able to understand the basic statistical concepts and apply data analysis techniques, right, to drive insights from the data. Having data is one thing, but how do you interpret from that, to make better decisions? This enables them to make data driven decisions, informed decisions. identify opportunities for AI integration, and evaluate the performance of AI models so they can understand which is the best model for their wow factor, for their way of working. So, collaborative problem solving, where team members should possess strong collaborative problem skills, is another important factor where teams should come together in a cross-functional team. Which is already happening, but AI is going to enhance that. Address complex challenges related to AI integration as well. So they should be able to communicate effectively, share knowledge and expertise, brainstorm solutions, right? And bring people together. It's not that I am ahead of the game and others are left out. That should not be the thought process. The thing is, let's bring everyone together to speak the same language, understand and solve the same solutions, right? So these are critical aspects, I feel. Wazlin, your thoughts, please.
Yes, Kumaresh, beautiful summary there. But to see what are the skills that people should have, obviously, you all talked about responsible AI and people copy pasting a code with social security number into it into a chatbot. And in every company have taken action to restrict that, but they're not. The responsible AI is definitely one thing. Second thing is organizational change management is kind of very critical here, because everybody are going to react to it in a different way in this journey. So, for example, we introduced a bot in a meeting, and people were very silent because a bot was listening in. And as a matter of fact, in the way the minutes are sent and everything, it actually does a great job of sanitizing the pieces. As a matter of fact, if a human can snitch better than a bot at this point, and action items are coming in, so people have to accept the bot as it's a forming, storming, norming, and performing just like a regular team member. The bot is a new team member, and it's a very critical things to be discussed, and people should embrace that mindset. And I think most important thing, like Kumaresh mentioned, is T-shaped skills. You no longer you have to see what does it mean for my role, and we have to do that.
Excellent, excellent. So we have time for only one more question. So the question goes to all of you. We're going to start with you, Max. We're going to go to Wiseline and Kumaresh, if you can close us with that. And the final question we have is, what future developments in AI do you predict? Again, let's go to crystal ball here. What future development in AI you predict will have the most significant impact on agile methodologies?
Oh, wow. So AI developments, who has the crystal ball will find out. But one thing that I feel is extremely important and has emerged quite well in the debate that we've just gone through is safety and security. Right, the boosting of trust in these systems is absolutely fundamental. I was recently reading that in by 2025, they are estimating that the total cost of cyber crimes for companies will be over 10 trillion US dollars. That's mind-boggling. So addressing issues such as data poisoning in AI is going to be critical, right? Where we talk about either intentional or accidental introduction of misleading data into the data sets, right? Leading to inaccurate predictions, leading to sabotage and manipulation, maybe done by external agents or by some disgruntled employees or something. All this ends up reducing trust in AI tools, in AI applications, and in a way making us lose this huge potential that we have. So I find that boosting security, safety, trust, that will be really very, very important. Right? Understanding how they actually work and what is actually ongoing, creating transparency and interpretability into what's going on will be a huge step forward for AI.
So for the future of AI, I think absolutely, I believe that we have to get a thorn with a thorn. So all the pieces of data and analytics related issues with governance, responsibility, and everything, I'm sure that steadily AI will help to guardrail it. Is something that I believe in. I'm an AI evangelist. So it is as a future. I think anything is in play. The main thing is for AI and Agile team members to learn to live together is very important. And the journey will be sit, walk, crawl, run, and fly. So it is important to work together, and we should let our mind loose. The world, we have a life and I think we should see how can this technology accelerate value for all of us, make people very productive, and people should focus on what they love, building products or services, and spend time with family and have a beautiful life. So it's very critical to let minds fly, and imagination should be not restricted for anything. Thank you.
Very well said, Wesley. Absolutely, a con with a thorn. So I'm very curious as well, right, to understand what is the future development of AI. So I think, as Max also mentioned, right, to build trust, we need to understand how AI operates, how AI works. So I think explainable AI. I understand there is XAI, that is explainable AI, is going to become very, very important. So XAI techniques aim to make AI systems more interpretable and understandable to human by providing explanations for their decisions and predictions. Right. So that is going to be an important aspect, which is going to be there. And AI for automated project management. Right. So it is going to happen that those tasks which are repetitive, right, including task assignments, scheduling, resource allocation, resource risk management, many of those aspects in project management will get automated. And from training perspective, I think AI for personalized agile coaching and training is going to be there. So AI powered coaching and training tools can provide guidance, right, in terms of what is the right approach, what is the key decisions to be made, getting feedback and learning resources to agile team members based on their individual needs, based on empathy, based on preferences, skill levels, right? These are historical data which will be used by AI to help them with these tools. So these tools can analyze team dynamics, they can communicate patterns, performance metrics to identify areas of improvement, and recommend tailored interventions of or training programs, right? So this is going to help teams immensely. It will help organizations immensely in the future, so that people will do the right job that they intend to do, based on their interest level, rather than doing something because they're pushed into it. So I think these are going to be big benefits in the future, and I'm really excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wisely, Mathuram, Max Langosco, Kumaresh, Krishnamurti. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your input. We look forward to the questions from our viewers. So thank you again for watching this session. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Leon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you.